Blessed be the reading of your word, Heavenly Father. Genesis chapter 4. Let's eat. And Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. So, just by context, you know, when it says Adam knew Eve, of course he knew who she was. Adam knew Eve in this context means he penetrated her. He had sex with her. He made love to his wife. And naturally the verse says, Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived. So the context is telling us that he made love to her and she got pregnant. So in the Bible, when it states so-and-so knew this young lady or so-and-so knew this lady, he had sex with her. So you have to be careful with a brother who knows the Bible and he's talking to a sister and he goes, I'd like to get to know you. And what is he really saying? So just want to point that out as we go through scripture. This will become clear. To know means to be intimate with, to make love to have sex with, and that produces babies when it's a man and a woman. Verse 2, and she again bare his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. Now remember what we learned about the ground in Genesis chapter 3, after Adam had ate of the forbidden fruit. Chapter 3 verse 17, when the Most High was judging Adam for not obeying his command to not to eat the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, he told Adam that the ground would be cursed for his sake, and in sorrow you shall eat of it all the days of your life, right? So the ground was cursed. And so we go back to Genesis chapter 4 verse 3, we see it reads, and in the process of time it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. What's significant about this is that the fruit of the ground, that's what he brought, and the ground was cursed. So that fruit of the ground was not clean. Look at verse 4. And Abel, he also brought of the firstlings of his flock, and of the fat thereof. And the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering, but unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. And Cain was very wroth or angry, and his countenance fell. So Cain brought an offering from the cursed ground. Abel brought the firstling of his flock and the fat that came along with it. Now, you think of the fat as the principal. No, let's think of the fat as the interest. So the meat of the lamb, of his sheep, is like the principal. We think in terms of money. And the fat, the extra, is like the interest. All right, you got the principal and the interest. The fat, Abel offered up the fat because that was the extra, the interest, and that belongs to the Most High. And we're going to read about that as we get further into the book. And the Most High respected Abel and his offering, but he didn't have respect for the offering of Cain. So this goes into, this is the firstling of the flock as well, and get into the covering. We also see that, all of a sudden they're making offerings, but when we look into some of the extra biblical books, when Adam got put out of the Garden of Eden, he offered up some offerings as well at that time. So what we see early in the book is little snippets or remnants or little pieces of the law coming out. It was already happening in the very beginning. And then when we talk about not having respect for an offering or not having respect for Cain's offering, if we turn to Leviticus chapter 22, Let's go to Leviticus chapter 22 at verse, 24. So what we're dealing with is why Cain's offering was not respected. We already know the ground was cursed in Genesis 3 and 17. So let's go to Leviticus chapter 22, verse 24 and 25, and it reads this way. It says, "Ye shall not offer unto the Lord that which is bruised or crushed or broken or cut, neither shall you make any offering thereof in your land. Neither from a stranger's hand shall you offer the bread of your God of any of these, because their corruption is in them, and blemishes be in them. They shall not be accepted for you." So we see you can only offer you could try to offer whatever you want, but the Most High is only going to accept a certain standard, and his offerings can't be blemished or have any bruises or crushed or can't be corrupted. And at this time, when Cain is making his offering, the ground was corrupted. So I'm thinking that's a major reason why his offering was not accepted. And Cain was angry. He was upset. Let's get another verse on that. Okay, so let's go to Malachi chapter 1 and get another witness to what type of offering must be offered up to be accepted by the Most High. You just can't offer him up anything. The Most High has standards. You can't offer him polluted things and unclean things or corrupted things. So let's go to Malachi chapter 1. I'll start this at verse 6 to help us understand this concept of why Cain's offering was not accepted. Malachi chapter 1 verse 6 says, "A son honors his father, and a servant his master. If then I be a father, where is my honor? And if I be a master, where is my fear or respect? Saith the Lord of hosts unto you, O priest, that despise my name. And ye say, wherein have we despised your name?" His response was, "You offer polluted bread upon my altar, and you say, wherein have we polluted you? In that ye say, the table of the Lord is contemptible. And if you offer the blind for a sacrifice, is it not evil? And if you offer the lame and the sick, is it not evil? Offer it now unto your governor. Will he be pleased with you, or will he accept you?" Because that's what accepted means, to be pleased or to pay a debt, or it means to be pleased with, to pay a debt, to appease, to approve, to satisfy a debt, to reconcile for yourself, right? So here it says, offer it to your governor. Will he be pleased with you or accept your person? Saith the Lord saith the Lord of hosts. So, you can't offer unclean things to the Most High. He will not accept you. It will not be accepted. He will not approve of you, or it will not satisfy the debt. It wouldn't pay the price. It wouldn't. And when you do that, that's a reconciliation of yourself to, that's what you're doing when you pay the price, when you're appeasing the God. You're reconciling yourself to him, and by making the offering, and Cain's offering was not accepted. So let's go back to Genesis chapter 4 verse 6, and it says, "And the Lord said unto Cain, why are you wroth, or why are you angry? And why is your countenance fallen?" Sad faced, he's feeling down. And the Most High continues and said, "If you do well, shall not you be accepted? And if you do not well, sin lies at the door, and unto you shall be his desire, and you shall rule over him." So there's a lot going on in this verse too. Just need to take time in the beginning and break it down. So he's saying if you do well, you'll be accepted. And you can look at Job, look at Job's situation. The Most High was at peace with Job. He was okay with Job. He accepted Job. and he had Job make an offering, but he did not accept Job's friends, because how they was treating Job when he was down. That situation is a little touch and go, because none of them understood what was actually taking place in the story of Job. The Most High was honoring Job when he was dealing with Satan, and then all this stuff started happening to Job, and Job didn't understand because he didn't do anything wrong. But his friends was like, yes, you did something wrong, because the Most High wouldn't be bringing all this stuff on you. But I digress. So if you do well, you'll be accepted. Remember, accepted means to approve of, to be pleased with, to satisfy a debt, to pardon, or to reconcile. You know what I mean? So it's having respect is almost like it has value. It's like money, you know what I mean? But let me not go too deep. I don't want to spend too much time on being accepted, but the idea of being accepted by the Most High is a very interesting one. Jump to Acts chapter 10 and at verse 35, I believe. And it's a very interesting verse that states that, what does it say? It says something to the effect of, out of every nation, he that fears the Most High and works righteousness is accepted by him. So one day we'll do a deeper dive on this idea of being accepted by the Most High and what that means. I think it's pretty interesting. So let's focus on this verse. It said, if you do well, you'll be accepted. And he said, if you don't do well, sin lies at the door. Now, this is interesting because the altar was placed at the entrance or at the door of the tabernacle. So in the altar is where the people brought the sacrifices to offer up for sin. All right. And it was at the door of the tabernacle. And what the people often did, or in some cases did, was they would place their hand on the head of the sacrifice that they were offering up. And this was symbolic of the sin transferring from the man to the animal, which was the sacrifice. And so instead of the man being killed, the offering or the sacrifice would be killed. So the sin transferred from the man offering up the offering, and he would put his hand on the head of the sacrifice, transferring that sin to the sacrifice. And then the animal was killed at the door of the tabernacle. So this verse here is referencing, in my opinion, sin lying at the door. Sometimes these things are mentioned, these statements in the Bible are mentioned, and we don't really know what they mean. But as you get further into the book, you understand some of these statements. And I don't want to go too deep in, but I'm just showing you that there's pieces and bits of the law at the very beginning. And if you don't really understand the law, you wouldn't see these things within the first 2, 3, 4 chapters of the book. So then he goes on to say, and unto you, this is Genesis chapter 4, verse 7, he says, unto you shall be his desire, and you shall rule over him. So again, I know I'm maybe sounding like a broken record, but I think these things are important for us. Remember, we're laying a solid foundation. So when he says to Cain, you shall rule over him, remember, Cain is the firstborn. We see it in chapter 4, verse 1. Adam knew his wife, Eve, and she conceived and bare Cain. Cain is the firstborn. So here in verse 7, it says, unto you shall be his desire, his brother's desire, and you shall rule over him. Well, this is the law of the firstborn. The firstborn in Israel had a specific rank and status. They had a particular jurisdiction, you would say. They would get the inheritance of their father. They would get their father's position and different things of that nature. So this is why the Most High told Cain that his brother's desire would be to him, and that he would rule over his brother if he did what was right. But that didn't happen.